from constantly being at each other's throats. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'ma just let that one slide. To being there for each other when either one of them actually need it. Zoro and Sanji will never actually admit to liking each other, but one thing that they have in common is that they are there for Luffy. This is not a power scaling video. Take that shit and
get the hell out! Get out!
No chapter this week, which is technically true because this was actually supposed to come out last week, but it's coming out this week and there is actually a chapter. But I really wanted to look at the relationship between Zoro and Sanji and really speak about how unbreakable their bond actually is. Like if Sanji was to die at the hands of an op, like for example the Blackbeard pirates, I mean, it's never gonna happen, but so if he was to be put down at the hands of a lady, I know for a fact that Zoro about to pull up with that 12 sword style Nitoryu. 11 cuts to the body. That 12 sword gonna come out straight from his hey. I'm not really sure where I was going with that point, but like, you know, yeah. Let's just move on. If you like what you see and you'd like to see more, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and join the notification gang. For every like and every comment motivates me to make more content. Thank you. Zoro has really had bros back from day one and vice versa. So, yeah. I remember back in Water 7 where Luffy and Zoro were with each other and Sanji was with Frankie and they wanted to go rescue Robin. Luffy sat there and was talking to Sanji and Luffy was basically telling them, look, basically crash out. And at that point in the story, I knew that Sanji had that dog in him. Because the thing is that Zoro already knew, like, you know, he was ready to scrap. You know, he sat there and he was just like, I mean, come on, like, we can't let Sanji go by himself. Like, you know, he gonna need some backup. Luffy looked at him like, come on, B, like, if you was by yourself and you knew Robin was local, you're not gonna sit there and run the fade? And I really like how Zoro put himself out there because he genuinely cares for Sanji, and it made me sit there and really think, man, like the way he wanted, not even to sit there and say that he wanted to protect Sanji, but he wanted to be there to have his back. And I think ultimately it really shows, or at least started to show at that point, that they really have a bond and they actually care for one another. Thriller Bark. So of course they have that climactic battle against Moria. Shut up, manga police. Ugh. I remember watching this part in the anime and Kuma pulls up. And at this point, we knew nothing about Kuma. So we just thought, okay, warlord, so he's definitely an op. And I remember Zoro had to fight it. Luffy's already down and out. Sanji can't really do much. Zoro's next in line and him and Zoro run the fade, and you know Zoro's about it. Now of course Zoro knew it was gonna be a losing battle, but he sat there and said, look, I'm not worth much right now, but at least take my head because I'm gonna be the next king of the sword.
Hi.
I ain't gonna lie, that sounds kinda sus. He said he's gonna be the world's greatest swordsman. Better. And what I like about it is that Sanji pulled up and was willing to take on Luffy's pain, and Zoro sat there and he knocked him out. And even though he wanted to take it, because I feel like his dedication to Luffy is higher than Sanji's, just because he's been with the crew longer. Remember, it was like it was Zoro, Usopp, Nami, then Sanji, I think. Correct me below. But at that point, he knocked him out and he just sat there and he took that pain. Like him and Sanji could have just sat there and said, you know, I'm gonna put half my body in it and you're gonna put your half. So at least if we both messed up, then at least we good. But he took all of it by himself. Class act. This guy is down to ride. Like, he might not sit there and say he cares for Sanji, but he definitely cares about him. Zoro wanted to leave the crew after Usopp was out of line. And of course, Usopp just thought, oh, okay, bet. We ran the fade with Lucci and we won. Now I'm just gonna come back to the crew. After he casually just sat there and left like he was on some G shit. Like, I get it, Usopp, you want to prove a point by not abandoning the Mary or something, but at the same time, you can't just be leaving the crew whenever you want. I really feel happy that Sanji was there to back up Zoro, because despite the fact that they constantly disagree on just about everything and whatnot, he sat there and he thought, look, Usopp just can't casually come back and think that everything's sweet. This guy needs to give an apology and get on his knees, or I'm leaving next. I remember in Wano where Sanji started to develop his German enhancements and he realized that he might not be in that state of mind. I'm talking more towards the dub of One Piece, and don't get me wrong, subbed over dub all day. Point is that Sanji called Zoro and he sat there and told him, look, I ain't gonna lie to you, we gonna run this fade and you know, we gonna drop the Beast Pirates. But if I don't come back the same, or I'm looking kind of weird, or I'm moving kind of sus, I need you to put me down. And despite the fact that there was still banter there where he was just like, oh, don't worry, I'm gonna put you down and stuff, Zoro sat there and said, until that point, don't die on me. You're not gonna sit there and tell me that those exchanges of words ain't cold? I'm here for all of it. I'm here for all of it. What's interesting is that despite the fact that Zoro and Sanji have been on the crew, well, Zoro's been there longer than Sanji, who would you say is Luffy's bigger backbone? I mean, they all support Luffy, but you know, someone's clearly done more than the other. Now, when we look at Zoro and the nothing happened moment, he sat there, took all of Luffy's pain. This guy's durability should genuinely be studied. He got wrecked in that fight. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody got a couple scratches here and there. He fought with Kuma, his fatigue, stress, and everything. He took all of it. And he sat there and he tanked it like a G and sat there and said, nothing happened. Don't even tell Luffy about none of that, because we know for a fact that Luffy would not be able to hold it down. Even though Sanji's dedication to Luffy is ironclad, just like Zoro's is and whatnot, nothing is topping that moment for me. Looking at Usopp's apology, I feel like Zoro's always been a bigger backbone than Sanji in certain moments anyway, especially when it came to Usopp's apology, because he was not willing to take Usopp back. And I feel like it really had to make Luffy sit there and think, I'm the captain, I can't play around, like we not playing no game no more. It's like Luffy getting to laugh at him being like, haha, by the way guys, I was just playing, I don't actually care about the One Piece. Zoro gonna sit there and he gonna chop his head off. Game is game. I feel like Zoro's always been the one to keep Luffy back on track, especially in moments where he's unfocused. He's always the one that keeps him focused. Sanji leaving, I get it, seemed a little selfish because he could have asked Luffy for help and then, you know, Luffy would have helped him out. But I feel like him leaving definitely was him trying to take on that issue by himself. Now, let's be real here. If Sanji went to handle business by himself, he was not gonna come back. At least not alive. So I understand why he did it, but then it felt like he got himself into a situation that was beyond his control. Like, Luffy barely escaped with his life after fighting Katakuri. You think Sanji was ready to fight Katakuri at that point? I don't think so. Back to Wano. Sanji fights King and Queen while protecting Zoro. Woo. I think this moment for me was so fire. Like, I've always been more of a Zoro head than a Sanji head. I like both characters, but I think I just prefer Zoro because he got swords and whatnot. But I remember kind of sitting there and just thinking, yo, he really scrapping with King and Queen. And he was holding his own too. Now, bear in mind, he had no German enhancements at that point. He was just scrapping, no power up, no nothing, until Zoro was able to recover. I think the fact that he took both of them on, Zoro could have done the same thing. But nah, I really gotta give props to Sanji, because at that point he knew that he needed his right hand man. Personally, Zoro's moments in holding Luffy down and being his backbone have hit a lot harder. I'd say personally that Zoro definitely takes the cake with that. But yeah, what chapter is it coming out this week? 1154? I think that's the one dropping this week. But either way, what did you guys think? Do you guys think that Zoro is the brother that Sanji never had? Or do you think, Black Adder, I think you kind of stretching it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna holla at y'all later, man. Peace.